Ooh, and got Puppypaw spawning in the northwestern side. Molly is his choice, and we've talked about this. We've seen him seen this matchup before, or at least Civilization before, quite a bit. And who else is he playing against?
On the southeastern side, we got Zerton spawning as the orange Chinese, going with his traditional meal onto the food and onto the berries instead of under the GC. So we'll see how this goes. I do you are you looking? Now let me rephrase this. Do you think Zerton will be bold enough to do a Barbican rush?
He did just kind of do that quick scout on the other side. I mean, that is an idea. Also, an idea is just going into Dark Age. No, he's not going Dark Age barracks. He's dropping that village as expected, and I doubt it. It kind of just looks like the more typical opening. But he always, you don't know till you know, because you can just pull those villas, get ready for that Barbican rush quite quickly.
Not at all. Thank you so very much for that grade. We are in the grand finals of the Arabian Open Masters. Game number 2, Puppypaw versus Zerton. On game number 1, Puppypaw took a very, very convincing win with his HRE. We'll see what he will do this game with his Malians.
Yep, and 6 houses already have been dropped, and doing the same thing, grabbing that extra 10 gold with that Vil, making sure, you went out there for a reason, not just to build the houses, bring back some gold, and tons and tons of gold is all that Mali needs to do anything and everything that they want.
Absolutely. Especially with the Farimba Fast Castle build, although I'm expecting him to go also into the sofa, the heavy sofa feudal that we saw earlier from him.
Yeah, the only problem is sometimes you can find that Chinese has such of a compact economy and a few walls that come down that it just kind of delays it up, and you might as well have just gone in for that Farimba anyways. But only, you don't know till you know. I do think that higher elos have started to figure out Mali just a little bit. They're starting to know, what the opponent's strategy is, how to play against it. And that's where you start to see a little bit of some of these different builds, where we've started to see the Mansa Quarry being chosen again instead of the Saharan Trade Network. So,
yeah,
a little bit of some free extra gold in. I mean, why not?
Yeah, Mansa Quarry is on the long run definitely the better landmark, but the issue with Mars is that you often need that Saharan trade network just to defend your first bitmine, but Chinese is typically such a defensive civilization early on that you're not in your bitmine is completely safe until like 7 minutes into the game.
Yep.
So you can easily go with the Mansa Quarry and be a little bit more greedy.
So, just kind of getting these feudal ages out. It's not the Barbican rush. The Barbican still hasn't been dropped yet, but Imperial Academy is the first choice, and you can already see that it's covering a good amount of the resources that will be utilized early on. You got the gold, you got the main mill that is going to be the food for the long run.
Indeed. We see Wheelbarrow coming on by Puppypaw. It's just almost feudal age. Zerton almost about 3/4 of the way into his Song Dynasty. Just need a little bit more fruit, a little bit more gold, and he can drop down the Barbican, which I'm expecting probably on the backside next to the deer, and completely secure the backside of the wood and the gold and the berries behind it. In the meantime, we see Puppypaw just heavily shifting into the wood and dropping down that stable. So I expect we will see sofas pretty soon.
We will be seeing those sofas. Barbican opted for in between the two wood lines that are front and forward, so wants to make sure his wood line will be secured for the long haul. Will also give him some good vision, and then can just wall down the side that you were talking about that we most likely will end up seeing. Warrior Scout immediately being upgraded. This is what we'll notice a lot of the the high elo people do as well. Very, very cheap upgrade. 50 resources for that upgrade, and your scout immediately just becomes so OP. Has, you know, it already has that healing ability, but it has extra damage by a significant amount and just can outmatch the other scout. You can deny the vision on the other side of the map, or you can actually, you know, deny vills from gold or different resources as they're going out, from walling especially, as your scout is so good at getting that vision.
Absolutely. That Warrior Skull is a very, very underrated technology. The extra damage really lets you bully down any villagers that's out in the map trying to build an outpost, build walls, or whatever. And they also get a little bit faster, so they can chase down the enemy scouts and kill them, which is not something that you can do with any other scout.
Yep, Warrior Scouts OP. Here we're gonna see it right as we were mentioning. Look at the extra damage that it goes off. Villager forced back by Zerton. Actually, all 4 villagers forced off of gold. He brings a scout, and that scout cannot deny it, but the Chukanu will do a good amount to push those scouts away. But the sofa has arrived, and that is quite a bit different than a warrior scout. That is like a miniature knight.
That's a miniature knight. It has enough armor for it to be relevant against the Chuganu, and they do quite a lot of damage. 16 plus 2, so 18 damage to those Chuganus if they get on top of them, which is quite significant. And with the Warrior Scout there to tank an extra shot or two because they can regen, they are completely fine, and a deadly combination.
Yep. However, this next dive might good, huge micro by Puppy, pulls back that Warrior Scout, allows the Sofa and Warrior Scout to stay alive, and yet again idles more and more villagers. But great job by Zerton, microing the low health ones back, making sure that none have been lost, none have been taken down yet.
I'm surprised by Zerton having this many villagers onto the gold. I'm wondering what his plan is with that much gold. Because he has 9 villagers right now, that's quite a lot, and what is he rolling his GC? Yeah, to the gold. He's even got more and more villagers to the gold. So interesting what is all this gold for. He doesn't need that much gold for Chuganus. Do you think he's going for fast castle?
He just pulled a few off. Looks like they're going over to the food, and see the one of the Imperial Examinations upgrade coming in, so I think it might just be making his economy a little more efficient, with also getting up closer to that castle. He's walling up that western side already, like I mentioned. I assumed he would, as he is one of the more early wallers, and as the Chinese, that's what you need to do to protect up this economy. He's now dropping a stables to go and pair up with his Chukanu, and Puppy behind this has a ton of production. He's already got javelin throwers being produced on up. 5 javelin throwers in feudal age is no joke, as those are quite a bit of resources. 80 food and 40 gold a pop.
Yeah, javelin throwers are very, very expensive. It's the same cost as the men-at-arms, which is, okay, men-at-arms are not that expensive, except the split for javelin throwers is much worse. There are 40 gold, which is a lot this early into the game.
And look at this, Puppypaw circling around with that scout and Sofa, raiding party, just checking to see if Zerton's moving out for any of these other resources. Hasn't yet, but has actually still has some sheep left over next to his mill, so still has some food before he has to go over to any other resources. Puppy didn't opt to go towards that wood line, and is just still kind of circling on around, sitting in the stealth forest, waiting until those vills do push out.
Yeah, he's starting to build quite a massive Chukanu right now. He's all the way to 13. This is when they can start taking on Sofas, because they have one less armor than normal knights. And yeah, it can get quite scary into these numbers against the Sofas.
Oh, Sofa Going in, diving on that gold. Yet again, only one Chukanu is there this time, so pushes those vills right back into the village. And Zerton's finally moved out onto the stone. Looks like he wants to drop that second TC as China that they all know and love and always want to get to. Dropping in a bunch more upgrades, so that is the reasoning for all of these vills onto the gold. It's wheelbarrow, it's specialized pick, it's steeled arrow coming in to make those Chukanu do even more damage. He is moving out onto the deer, and Puppypaw is kind of just still going back and forth with the scout, wants to get that vision, and now spots those vills moving out on the deer. Good little circle by the sofa. There we go. Vills being pulled. Looks like 2 go down. And a horseman mass is on the backside trying to clear up these couple sofa. And looks like they'll take 1 down. And that was that the warrior scout? Or was that, nope, yeah, it was the sofa. Warrior scout's about to go down to follow, and 2 sofa versus the rest of the horsemen might not be the best trades, but you can see how just that extra armor is very, very effective. And horseman versus sofa trade looks like Puppypaw getting the best until the next reinforcement comes in.
Yeah, this was not a good trade for certain. Those so far were so low on HP, and they still got such a good trade on them. And he's even harassing the villagers again, forcing the horsemen to fight him. And he might be able to take another horseman down with him, and he does. Yep.
Takes another horseman down. Second TC is going down for Zerton. He's already up 12 villagers. So the longer this goes, for Zerton, in a sense, it will get better for him, but we have seen time and time again when he has a huge mass of an eco lead, it sometimes doesn't always transition into the military. And notice Puppypaw's military already has a massive ball of javelin throwers, high base damage. Just as Chukanu can trade very well into anything, javelin throwers can get to that point too, but also will have the extra benefit against the Chukanu mass.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a scary amount of javelin throwers. I'm expecting Puppypaw to do a timing push very, very soon. As soon as his +1 damage finishes, he's gonna march across the map, get siege engineering, and drop a couple of rams and go into certain space, because this amount of javelin throwers, they will kill all the horsemen and the chicken news that Zerton has.
Yep. Those little bit of a raiding party of a sofa spot out that secondary TC, take a good amount of damage, fall back away, not able to get anything successful. Javelin throwers and sofa starting to move forward right as the Farimba garrison is being dropped. So you know what Puppypaw's plan is. Finish the Farimba, get your upgrades, and dive on in right after that. However, Zerton, he's trying to get up to castle. He's got a significant amount of gold in the bank. He's going to have to either idle some production or re-macro onto some more food until he can get up to castle. He's at 800 food. He's getting closer and closer, and he will be able to build it super, super fast, being the Chinese.
Yeah, this is the problem. He needs to get up to castle. He's gonna see the castle age of timing, and he's gonna go, oh, I'm screwed, because he's halfway into with the resources into castle, but he has a big army in his front door to deal with. This is a very, very scary situation to be a Zerton. And we see the upgrades starting to come out for Puppypaw. We're just waiting for veteran javelin thrower, and then we'll probably see him push down into the base, because then the javelin throwers are gonna have 5 range armor. That means they just can sit down under TC. Even in this Chinese TC, which has an increased attack with the hand cannons, is just not enough when you have this many javelin throwers.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things here is you don't always have to rush Castle Age against Mali. But what you'll notice is China's starting to run lower and lower on these resources. So what you don't want to find yourself in is that spot where you do go up to castle and then find yourself not having the food for any extra additional production.
Yeah, veteran Sofa coming in. I'm assuming we'll see imported armor shortly after too. We're just waiting for Puppypaw to pull the trigger. A couple of
Javelin
villagers.
throwers, yeah, able to grab at least 2 villagers, 3 villagers. Take a little bit of return damage, but remember, those are javelin throwers. That return damage is only actually maybe the hand cannon slit doing some extra stuff. 2 horsemen, good raid in the back line for Zerton, just causing some idle time and denial of 10 villagers, and a kill.
Yeah, but Farimba is already online, starting to produce units. Just a couple of javelin throwers, even though they get countered by horsemen, they're a full H ahead.
Not for
So
long,
it's-
as the clock tower is about to finish. Zerton's got 280 in the bank, so enough for one of those upgrades, but looks like he wants to transition into dropping some palace guard spam, getting his horseman upgrade. Nope, canceled it, it looked like. First he's getting range damage.
Range damage makes sense with this many Chugenu. That's a lot of extra damage. Even though it doesn't do that well against the javelin thrower, it will do decent enough against the sofas, unless they get imported armor, which is almost on the way, and +2 range armor. So those Chugenus are not going to do much.
Yep, and this is where Zerton's having to slowly transition into granaries in the back line. Not the greatest timing for this, as this is when Castle Age came out. That's kind of what I was talking about. You want to kind of use these timings to be very aggressive or push back Puppypaw, retake map control, and instead being forced to drop some granaries. Horsemen dive on up. As you mentioned, those sofa are now upgraded. Hasn't gotten the wedged rivets in yet, but it is on its way, and javelin throwers starting to move up. Musafati, Moose Party is about to start happening as well.
Yeah, this is not a good thing. This is not a good 5%. You need to go back under your TC, because the javelin throwers on the sofas that have so much armor is not a good engagement for you.
Yeah.
Zerton, please fall back.
The amount of damage that the Chukanu are doing to the front line compared to the Jav throwers of the front line are completely different. It's just one of those fights where it's like, my damage does more damage than yours, so your front line's going to be gone faster, and then I get to start focusing on the back line. It's not even like any micros needed, just a move.
Yeah, and the amount of units and the difference in technology is just way too much for you to fight in that open of a field. You need to fight under your TC, under a tower, under something that adds extra damage, because it's not enough. Those Chugenu are not good against these javelin throwers or the sofas anymore. You need to start adding crossbow. You need to start adding horsemen. This certainly is in trouble right now.
Yep. Puppypaw has a massive 73 compared to Zerton's 45. Look at the eco difference. We've kind of talked about it over and over again. We've seen it time and time again. Will it be enough? Upgraded outposts starting to get focused down on by the mass. Couple villagers that were there get focused down, and some of the villas getting taken down, but more importantly, the outpost that is fortified is getting just absolutely demolished. And if a fortified outpost gets demolished that fast, imagine what is going to happen to this TC. Villagers running out for some stone. IO going to... What? I have no idea what I just saw. Let's just ignore that. And again, a move in here, just let the sofa, let the javelin throwers attack everything in their path. And then if Zerton doesn't take this fight, burn down the TC, and Eco is next.
Yeah, certainly starting to add palace guards, but palace guards don't do anything versus sofas. Sofas deal so much damage. They are dealing how much? Let me see.
Nest of Bees moving forward, trying to get on top of those javelin throwers, but perfectly pulled back right as the Nest of Bees was setting up, getting in position, and Puppypaw doubling the military mass. Moose Party. Ooh,
Yeah,
Nest of Bees not in range again. Puppypaw just pulling back. Perfect timing.
Yeah, that Nest of Bee is exactly what Zerton needs in order to be able to hold almost stealth Musafaris, but they get spotted.
Fight being taken. Nest of Bees is out of range. Isn't being pulled back in. Also, Squirrel being pulled
There's
up.
a spring goal coming in.
And there's just too much military again. Those Chukanu just aren't doing enough damage. First Nest of B shot, not enough damage to be a game changer in this fight. Puppypaw all of a sudden is about to start tripling the army, going to be able to split off some of these military units, go for different parts of the eco, take down the Nest of Bees, and if he gets onto those back line granaries, it is all but over.
Yeah, he's even diving the TC with his Pringle. That's how confident he feels on his position. Because as long as he has his Pringle with him, that Nest of B is completely sound out and won't be able to do the work that he needs to put. Because that Nest of B needs to get massive shots in order to be able to just hold this push.
Zerton, 13 villagers on the stone, going to drop a keep on the gold. He needs to resecure, I guess, an 8k gold in the middle of the map. Wouldn't hate to see this just almost in just total mid-map near Puppy's production, or somewhere close if he was able to do it, like just kind of canceling out reinforcements as well as securing this up or protecting up his base, because Puppy is sure to continue to move through.
Yeah, absolutely. Puppy is just looking for villagers. He's looking for the food source. He went for the deers. Well, he's like, oh, you don't have deers. So if you're not on these deers that are fairly safe, where is your food? He will probably realize fairly soon that he has to be on farms already. And with that, he will most likely send those Musafaris, exactly what he's doing, stealth all the way into the corner, because that's where he suspects that granaries are. Very, very good heads-up play.
Yeah, and all of the military for Zerton right now is Palace Guards and Veteran Chukanu. Only 2 horsemen in that Nest of Bees. What's gonna come back and help protect those villagers? There's not going to be anything. Villagers are just going to have to run, and so many of these are going to go down. Those Musafatis are quite fast, and we already see how much damage is going in. A couple of the Musafatis spot out the villagers in the middle where the keep is, and the main force of Puppypaw moving forward onto the main economy, moving forward to where all of those vills were on the wood line, and this is where it looks like he might be calling game. He pushed forward that first time. He just made that outpost look like it was made of freaking nothing right there. All the villagers immediately going down. Melee infantry, cavalry moving on to the main TC, starting to burn down. Any of the units that pop out of all of the production around the TC immediately get taken out by these javelin throwers.
Yeah, absolutely good play. On one side, he sent in the Musafaris, forced the villagers all the way into the base, and then came with his main force down to collapse onto those villagers that had retreated, while the main force for Zerton was cleaning just a few Musafaris. And now he's just sitting in the middle of his base, camping the production. This is not a good spot to be in.
Yeah, and so much for a 40-ville lead. All of a sudden, Zerton's going to find himself with 0 town centers if Puppy's able to continue this push. Even though you might see a lot of Puppy's military going down, even though you might think this is a bad location, bad fight for him, all of this damage, it's so much harder for Zerton to stabilize. He's China with no ville lead essentially over the Mali at this point. So many villagers being idled. Moose Party taking down some more villagers on the TC. Clock Tower Nested Bees pops on out, but there's a Springle, and Springle's immediately taken on out. That was Zerton's chance. It is looking like Puppypaw is just overrunning the base and taking this over.
Absolutely, we're just waiting for the end at this point. I can't see a way for Zerton to come back from this position. It's just so rough. You have your entire production being overrun, and half your villagers being idle, the other half just running away, just a couple working on gold. This is very, very rough.
Just an easy timing attack yet again, looking to take the lead on this grand final series 2-0, and with the secondary, well, I guess initial TC and secondary TC going down, there's going to be 0 ville production, so all of the eco is going to be so precious. And what is he gonna do? There's so much passive eco. Puppy has the full map control. Vills, now they're doing what I was mentioning, dropping a keep in the middle of the map, hoping to maybe kill out some of the production, just streaming across. But if Puppy spots this out, even more of those vills are going to be going down.
Yeah, this is one of those desperation keeps that you see. This is both to cut off reinforcement and secure wood, because he has no wood income at this point either. Oh, just
keep is going to end up going up. The wood line right there in front could be in front of the TC that's already down, could be absolutely demolished as well. Puppy has a sprinkled mass but hasn't actually gotten any siege to kill infrastructure, and right as we say that, Trebuchet in queue, and he's already gonna have 4 sprinkleds to take out the siege on the opposite side. Remember, you need extra sprinkleds against China due to their clock tower siege.
Yeah, absolutely. Puppypaw just doing the correct move, just securing more and more of the map for himself, taking territory he doesn't need, just making sure it's not in control of Zerton, just slowly choking him down to death. This is such a...
The Musafati are gonna do the exact same thing we saw earlier. Just circle back around. If it worked once, if it would work again. Puppypaw thinking the exact same thing. Gonna go ahead, run back across, idle out some more Vills on the eco, and as we were mentioning, there's no Vill production right now. Zerton's dropping a TC on the western side on some stone. He might be attempting to get another one after that even.
Yeah, he absolutely needs villager production because he has fallen behind quite significantly, and while being a Song Chinese, you should never ever be behind in villagers.
Yep, and there we go. Villagers on the granaries all have to run on away. A few more go down. Palace guards streaming across the western side, might try to push up, and the villagers in the middle by that keep on the wood line start backing away because 2 trebuchets arrive and start to take down that keep. So Zerton is giving up the mid-map control he just tried to invest into and tried to kind of help stabilize himself, but this did stall out time, and time is all he was hoping for. It is what he needs to have a chance to get back in this game, but I still don't really see an opportunity.
The one saving grace Zerton has right now is he has granaries set up and a good amount of them. So that means his food is fairly secure as long as he can keep the Musafaris outside his economy with that one guy taking another villager down. But yeah, Palace guards attacking on the north side, trying to find a way into Puppypaw's base.
There's totally not a way right next to it. I promise you there's not a way in. There's a wall fully surrounding Puppypaw's entire base.
I mean, why wouldn't there be a wall? So yeah, that's one of those things you're like, okay, there's a wall, I need to get through this wall. It doesn't matter if there's a door open right next to me. No, I'm getting through this wall.
5 springleds moving up and the 2 trebuchets rolling behind it as well. They're gonna go focus down the keep next to the gold and maybe even just snag down the outpost first to deny some vision. Tons of villagers moving over to the eastern side gold that Puppypaw already has a keep on, and that is not just a ton, it's again. 42 of them.
Musafaris again onto the granaries. This is painful. A couple of horsemen going to deal with them, but look at that, Puppypaw split 2 into the middle and just hit the third one. Yep. To be annoying.
Yet again idle out another 25 villagers for 20, 30, 45 seconds.
That's just a funny but such a smart play. Lancers looking to find some damage into Puppypaw's eco, but Puppy Bear basically doesn't have any eco inside his base, just a couple of farms and a few woodworkers.
And the rare seen farms for Molly. Usually it's only cow, 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 and Puppy decided to opt for some farms.
Yeah, usually you see at this point Molly start adding ranches and cows. Interesting that he just decided to go, just screw it, I'm just going for farms. Interesting. They're also less tradable, so that's a good thing.
Last couple Lancers at the base are getting cleared on up. Some Musafati are chasing down the ones all the way in the northern side, and the keep is getting low, but the Chinese villagers on the gold decide to start healing it up, and they are just healing it as fast as they possibly can. Zerton stone, you just see falling. He's gathering a ton on stone. He has a significant amount of villagers, 9 on the stone, but it's just continuing to drop. 2 springleds moving up. and immediately
And
have
that
to fall
one
back.
Musafari is again at it. He just got 2 villagers kills and he's been annoying again.
Gah! The 6 Springle just moving up for Puppypaw. He's gonna need to move those back, as a Chinese keep will take out some Springles if you get into those range of it for a couple shots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They do 52 damage right now. So yeah, they can absolutely take down Springles. But with this amount of Springles, you are more than able to take the fight in order to snipe those clock tower Springle that are much more valuable than the normal Springle. Not because they're more expensive, but just because they're extra health and they're much harder to produce.
Look at Zerton Stone. He just decided to drop another keep somewhere, I believe. I'm not really sure where. Oh, next to his wood line in the middle, and he only has 260 stone left. The longer these Trebs keep just ticking down this keep on the gold, all of a sudden he's gonna blink, find himself out of stone, only 1 stone vein left, but instead Puppypaw just says, I think I have enough military to just take this fight, pushing on up, pushing up with a mangonel as well. Tons of his Springles have to push back. Same thing with the nest of bees, and all of the javelin throwers are just non-stop firing. Some horsemen and palace guards trying to attack the backside of Puppy's eco, not finding any luck, not finding any damage, and all this time the Trebs are still just ticking down, and there's no stone left. So in just a little bit, that keep will go down. Palace guards chasing down the javs, trying to get on top of the siege as well. And I said the keep's gonna go down, but the Springle just moved on back. All of it has been left to dust.
Yeah, he managed to push Puppypaw back, but in the meantime, we have that one Musafari still raking havoc in the back. Good raids by Zerton in the meantime with those horsemen and lancers on the backside of Puppypaw's base, but it's just not quite enough yet. He has managed to equalize the worker count after not being able to produce workers for who knows how long. His main town circuit still hasn't been repaired. Zerton has fires all over the map he needs to put down while trying to do some damage against Puppypaw at the same time. This is a very, very uphill battle for him.
Yeah, he's actually been stabilizing though, starting to get the Vil lead yet again. One more Musafati on that back line, just diving in and out, getting chased by Vils, and finally will lose his life. So hopefully Zerton has a breath of fresh air, thinks he can finally stabilize all of those villagers on the granary. Seems like there are a significant amount not being worked because all of those Vils he just pulled are idled.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what is the next step for Puppypaw and Zerton? Puppypaw is in a great position, he's in a commanding position, but he cannot delay this game too much because then we come into China late game, and that's very, very scary for any civilization. On the flip side, Zerton really needs to delay this game because of the same reason. China is very strong in the late game, and Mali is not so good in the late game because their units are fairly worse than most of the units.
And look at those Musafati absolutely getting wiped out by those Shukanu, by those couple crossbows, by those palace guards. Not taking the fights they need to, but at the other side, they're cleaning up some raids that were attempting to happen to burn through some walls that, again, don't need to really be burnt.
Zerton trying to take the middle sacred side, not quite working out. A couple of sofas are just more than enough to fight off all these horsemen, plus the help of the javelin throwers is more than enough. Musafati is trying to find an angle to get into those granary once again on the right side, but not quite finding any spot. I think he's finally fully walled off.
I'm worried for Puppypaw as running out of gold, it seems like. The eastern side 8k gold that he has 27 villagers on top of is mined out in the next 300. Yes, he's gonna have all that little bit of passive gold from the Mansa Quarry, from the mosque with the 3 relics inside, from the pit mines and everything, but what he has been utilizing has been a ton more. 3,500 in the bank to utilize for quite some time though, as he can choose to transition to something else, have a nice keep drop, anything of the sort if he is able to push forward. Still dealing with a couple bit raids in the backside, but sofas will be fine to take against horsemen.
I'm expecting we this last wall coming up on the right side, I'm expecting him to start looking into trade slowly. Yeah, there are the markets. He's starting to look into trade. To gonna put the farm market plus the ones next to the trade post. He's gonna start adding that because he really needs that gold as Malians.
Yep, exactly. Zerton.
Oh, he manages to get into certain space.
Yeah, runs right through as that many units that are melee will torch down a wall quite fast. But look at the flank by Zerton on the other side. A nest of bees able to fire down on all the units, and it's a nice little circle, really kind of choke point that Puppypaw finds himself stuck in. Musafati, Sofas run towards that nest of bees, immediately take it out, but it does get a little bit of fire off. Trading back and forth. Springold's not really finding anything because they are a counter siege unit, but you know what are? Chukanoos on the background just non-stop firing, so Puppypaw loses this force that he had, but has another secondary force that he has already remassed back up. Military is easy to mass up, and he is rebuilding that wall and securing up that trade just how you said.
Yeah, absolutely. First traders are starting to come out for Puppypaw, while in the meantime certainly knows something must be up. He sees it with the outpost. He knows there's a trade that's starting to be set up, and he needs to get on top of that and not let it get online, because once it does, Farimba is going to be printing units non-stop from them on out.
And Zerton burns through the eastern side walls. He's on top of the market, starting to burn those down, but Puppypaw's back in the middle, fighting, going down yet again. And all of this time, those ranged units just free firing in the background. Sofa aren't able to get through, aren't able to get to where they need to be, because yet again, good job fighting in this choke point. Finally have made it through, and this fight looks a little bit better for Puppypaw as he is forcing Zerton's mass away and took down the front line.
Absolutely good fight for Puppypaw. He manages to take down the front line. He has a bunch of sofas, which is exactly what he needs against everything Zerton is producing. He's producing Chuganoos, Pilot's Guard, and he just has a couple of crossbows just now starting to add them up. And sofas do fairly well against all of those, including crossbow, which are supposed to counter them. But whenever you have enough sofas, you get on top of the crossbows, and the crossbows just melt. Even faster than they do against knights or lancers. Those 4 horsemen still working on the markets. Puppypaw needs to clean that up, get rid of the outpost, finish the wall, and he'll be in a very good spot.
And he is timing up that clear perfectly, just how you said. Those traders passing by the keep as we speak. There's Sofa right there. I thought they were actually running faster than the traders. Thought they were about to clear that on up, but traders will at least be able to drop off their resources. Horsemen have not changed. They are not A-moved. They were, shift clicked on all those markets. So focusing on burning that down, and one will need to be rebuilt.
Yep, those horsemen have a mission, and they don't care about anything else except their mission, which is burning down that market.
That huge massive sofa going to clear up those horsemen. Looks like a market is going to be rebuilt, and it is. Sofa should be able to clear up those horsemen.
He needs to sacrifice. He needs to sacrifice those horsemen, or the trebuchet. Oh, he's gonna lose the trebuchet now. Yeah, when he started retreating with the trebuchet, he just had to sacrifice the horsemen.
Is that a chop through as well? That's a chop through on the wood line. It looks like. Don't think it's been spotted.
Oh,
it has been! It has been on the other side! Sofa get through, they're on top of the wood line. Puppypaw just runs through, he spots out another, I lied, not the trebuchet, runs past the trebuchet. He's gonna send that mass all the way to the granaries on the backside and has another tin sofa burning down a palisade gate. So making sure Zerton is on his heels and away from his trade.
Yeah, he is just looking to cause as much disruption as he can in this situation, which is exactly what he needs to do, because his trade is still not fully online. He needs a little bit more time still.
Zerton, though, says, I don't care, I'm still going to have another split mass, going for where your trade is, going for where your eco is. Puppypaw dropping a keep. has to back away with some of those as units are right there. Sofa looked like they are starting to be cleared up, but taking some decent trades on the backside as there were a lot of horsemen. And Puppypaw's also pushing up on the western side with Musafati and Sofas. He is trying to push up, and there's no walls. Keep trying to be built very fast, but I don't think it's going to get there in time. It is Chinese, so maybe, but at what cost?
Yeah, he's gonna lose a lot of villagers, and probably the keep too, because he can just right click the key because it doesn't have boiling oil, so all those villagers are gonna go down eventually. Yeah, he's just going to right click the keep, doesn't care.
Vill's being pulled over to that keep, and as they run on over there, Puppypaw moves over and takes out some more of the Vills on their way. So as we blink, Zerton drops like 15, 20, 30 Vills. Puppypaw has almost killed 100 total Vills in this game so far.
Yeah, insane villagers killed by Puppypaw. He still needs to fix his trade. He has like a couple of traders just on a short route. Zerton did manage to find a good amount of villagers kills on the northeastern side of Puppypaw's base where that keep dropped. Like all those farms are idle right now. But at the same time, it's just so many villagers have gone down for Zerton. Over 100 villagers, even with song, that still hurts. That's still like 5,000 food on villagers.
He's dropping another TC as TC's just continuing to be taken down as they go up, it seems like. And as that one goes up, gets spotted out by Puppypaw. Sofa right back on top of those villagers, and they're going to maybe turn for that keep. And Zerton, he says he gives up. It seemed like he had it. He stabilized. He lasted so long, but wasn't able to do it. He probably knew Puppypaw's trade was coming online soon, and just moving on to